my delusional everything was going to be working the way that it should. I thought it was going to be easy. I'm like, y'all, I'm about to move up here and get me a luxury apartment. Little did I know. Little did I freaking know. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Chanel, aka Chanel the Dove on all platforms, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my very first story time. So welcome to my highly requested story about my journey to moving to New York. So in this video I'm going to be talking to you guys about how I moved to New York at the age of 19, the struggle that I went through, and basically just the journey that I had that brought me to where I am today. I'm still surprised that I am where I am today. So I am very, very excited and nervous to be filming and sharing this story with you guys, because I've been debating actually putting this out and doing this for a while, but I want to start being transparent on my channel. I got my wine glass, and we about to pour it up because I'm gonna need it for this. So let's take a first sip. Cheers. Disclaimer, because I shared this story on TikTok and it wasn't as in-depth as this is going to be, but I just want to let you guys know everything does not happen the same way for everybody. I'm only here to share my experience and my journey and to give you guys some advice if you're planning on doing the same thing that I did. I am not encouraging young girls to jump up and move somewhere without any savings, any money, a credit score. So let's get into the story. I moved to New York City at 19, no money, no credit, and I am now 24, so I've lived here for about 5 years. I think it just hit 5 years actually in October. So yeah. So from the outside looking in, it might look like, you know, oh, she has this nice apartment, she buys like luxury stuff and this, that, and the third. So a lot of people assume that I'm rich. I've had people literally tell me, oh, you're rich, you know, your family's rich and stuff like that. But honey, the struggle that I went through to get to this point, I was not born with a silver spoon. I've literally worked my ass off to get where I am right now, and I made a lot of mistakes. And that's why I want to share this story with you guys, so that maybe I can help somebody to avoid making some of the same mistakes that I did. But it was like a struggle. Like, to get where I am today, I had to take a left turn through hell, but I'm here. So let's start from the very beginning. I actually have been wanting to move to New York because I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, New York. Why do you want to move to New York? Why are you struggling so much to live in New York? But this has been a dream of mine literally since the 7th grade. I went on a field trip to New York in 7th grade and I just instantly fell in love. I'm from a very small town in South Carolina. There's no skyscrapers, there's, you know, nothing really there. So it's the same people every day. So when I came to New York, everything was just pretty much brand new. Like, it was just so much to see, so much to do. So I was like, this is a goal. Like, I would love to eventually move here, make a life for myself, and that's what I essentially did. So when I finally got the opportunity to do that, I was like, listen, I have been dreaming about this for X amount of years, so I need to make sure that this happens. I need this to happen for me, for my 7th grade. How old are you in 7th grade? 11, 12, whatever age I was, I need to make this happen for that version of myself, because this is what she said she was gonna do, and this is what I need to make happen. I'm also a very stubborn, go-getting person, so when I set my sights on something, that's literally what I have to do. Like, I'm not going to be satisfied until I get it done. So when I finally got up here, which I'm going to explain, that was my mindset through this whole entire struggle, this whole entire process, all these setbacks and everything that I went through. So it's 2017, the year that I moved here. I graduated from high school in June, and then I turned 19 that September, and then I moved to New York in October with the guy that I was dating. Whoa, pause. Back up, because I already know, y'all probably like, girl, I know you did not move for a boy. I did not move for a boy, I moved with a boy. So we both wanted to move to New York. He had family here. I just wanted to move here on the reasons that I stated earlier. So we were like, you know what? Why not just move together, since we're in a relationship. We both want to be up there. it was never my intentions to like be like, oh, I'm moving up here so that I can be with this person. No, I was moving up here because that's what I wanted to do. It just so happened that I had somebody that also had the same goal as me, so why not do it together? We moved up here, and he had told me that he had spoken to his father, who I had met his father before when me and him visited for spring break the year before. He said he spoke to his father and that his dad was going to allow us to stay with him until we got on our feet. So we took the bus up here, and when we got up here, it was a completely different story. His dad was like, I never told you that she could stay here with me. I said, you can stay with me, and this and that. And mind you, this had been weeks literally of us discussing this, him telling me that was the plan. His dad was okay with it. He had spoken to him. Everything was set in stone. So now I'm getting up here, and it's a completely different story. So I'm just like, yo, what am I supposed to do now? I can't just turn around right now and just go back, you know? So we got there the first day. He literally immediately that first day he was starting his new job. So he left me in the apartment with his dad. For that whole day, his dad and his stepmom and their son or whatever. So I was just in the room trying to process everything, and I was trying to figure out what the next step for me would be, because clearly now I was in this on my own. He had his dad, so you know, what was I going to do? Tell him, oh no, you can't stay with your dad, you need to come and struggle or do whatever and be, you know, like, I'm not that type of person. So I was literally, since I sat down in there to the time he came back home from work, I was trying to evaluate my next move, trying to figure out what I could do. And so I called my job that I had left, because I moved to New York from Atlanta, which I forgot to say earlier. I called my job that I left, and I ended up getting a transfer, and they offered me a promotion. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now I have the job portion set. I just need to figure out where I'm going to be staying. So I have a cousin and an uncle that lives in Jersey. So I texted her, and I was like, you know, I explained to her my situation. And she told her dad, and he came and he picked me up and told me that I could come and stay with them. So I'm staying in Jersey. I started my new job. I was working on my training for my promotion. And I stayed with my uncle for, I want to say, a month or a month and a half or something like that. Everything was going good. There was no reason for me to think that what happened next was going to happen. One day out of the blue, my uncle's wife, who is not my blood relation, she came in the room when I was getting ready for work and told me that I need to pack my stuff and leave. She bought me a bus ticket back to Atlanta and whatever. So I'm shocked because, like I said, we didn't have any prior issues. There was no reason for me to believe that they wanted me to leave. They never told me this. So everything just happened out of the blue. So I ended up not even going to work that day. I was just like in disbelief because everything, like I said, was good. So what was I supposed to think when she just came in the room and said that? And I was just very confused. My uncle was not saying anything to me at all. You know, I kind of heard him in like when they was in the room or whatever, he was like, oh, you know, what you're doing is not right and this and that. But never did he stop her. So I'm not saying he should have went against his wife, but this is my uncle, you know, you could have at least tried, you know, this is your house too, tried to say like, oh, you know, maybe you can give her a couple of days to get herself together, this, that, and third. No. So now I'm back at square one again. I don't have anywhere to stay. I'm scrambling, trying to figure out what I can do. So I end up calling my grandfather because he has a sister that lives in the Bronx. So I ended up calling him. He got me in contact with her, and then she said I could stay with her. But she actually gave me an amount of time to stay with her until I got on my feet, which I appreciated because it gives me a deadline. And it's not just going to be like what happened with my uncle where it's like, oh, 1 minute everything's okay, and then the next minute, now you need to get up and leave, you know? I packed all my stuff. He drove me over there. Oh, I forgot to mention that even though there was never any signs that they were going to kick me out, his wife did tell me, you know, she was saying stuff like, oh, I don't know why you wanted to move up here. You're going to be living in a crappy apartment and this, that, and the third. And it was just like, when people tell me stuff like that and they tell me, oh, basically you can't do this, you're not going to do this, it just drives me that much more and makes me want to do it 10 times more because, for one, you're not going to tell me what I'm capable of doing because I'm capable of doing whatever I put my mind to, and so is anybody who's watching this video. Don't ever let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do. So she's telling me that, stuff like that, and in my head I'm just like, you know, it's rolling water down my back because I was like, I don't really care what you or anybody else says. I know what I'm capable of doing and I'm going to get it done. And fast forward, here we are, but we're gonna get to that a little bit later. So now I'm living with my aunt in the Bronx. And I went to training for my promotion, which I had to go and stay somewhere else for the training for a couple of weeks. So I went there, did my training and everything, started my new position, and everything was going good. So I was still with the same guy throughout this whole process. And when it was time for me to leave my aunt's house, me and him ended up moving. I ended up moving in with him, basically. So what happened was, you know how, I don't know if y'all know, but it's very, very hard to get a place in New York. So me not having any savings, no credit, him not having any savings, no credit, really set us back. We were looking constantly the whole time for a place, and nothing ever happened. So we just never got a place. So we ended up having to stay in Airbnbs for a while. So essentially I was homeless for a couple of months. Oh, let me drink. Getting flashbacks. We were pretty much homeless. We were bouncing from Airbnb to Airbnb every couple of weeks. So not only are we spending money on Airbnbs, which I calculated how much I ended up actually spending on them throughout that whole process, and it was more than $6,000 being spent on Airbnbs. That was money that could have gone to a rent. We're wasting money on that. And then we finally ended up getting a room, which I never really wanted to live in a room, but everybody has to start somewhere. This is New York City. A lot of people, most people if not, end up starting in a room. So which meant that it was an apartment, a 4-bedroom apartment, and there was somebody different living in each room. And so we got that room, and the relationship was already kind of rocky, especially considering the fact that what happened with his dad in the beginning, and that I felt like he didn't really stand up, you know, for me, which, like I said, it's his dad. I'm not expecting him to be like, no, she's gonna stay here, you're gonna let her stay here. Like, no, I was not expecting him to do any of that by any means, but I felt like he didn't really even try to voice at all for me, and I pretty much was on my own, like I said. Once we started living together, then like I felt like everything just started going downhill very, very fast. So we were together for about, I want to say almost 2 years when we made this move. So even before this, during high school when I was dating him, it was always just like a slippery slope of my feelings. Like sometimes I felt like I didn't really like him, and I hate to say it like that, but that's really what it was. Sometimes I felt like, because I did get in a relationship with him right after I had a heartbreak. So sometimes to me in my head, I'm like, that was kind of like a rebound. I was very sensitive at the time that I got with him. So when he came into my life, I had low self-esteem. I had just gone through a heartbreak. It was just not a good time for me to be getting into another relationship. But I ignored all those red flags, and I got into a relationship with him anyway, which once it started progressing, I was in my head like, you know what, I really don't even want to be in this relationship. Me and him took breaks multiple times because I didn't know where my head was. No, and I kind of was also like, I'm sorry y'all if the lighting is going in and out. It's raining, it's very gloomy outside, so I have my ring light on, but I was trying to get some of the natural light to come in, but there's not much. But yeah, I was also kind of just like, you know, like sometimes being in a new place and just having a fresh start can kind of help rekindle certain feelings for somebody. So I was kind of in denial. I'm like, you know what? I can see if I can make this work with him. Maybe if we move together and go somewhere else and have a new start, away from exes, away from old friends and stuff like that, you know, maybe it will help our relationship. But then that BS happened with his dad in the beginning, and I was like, see, this is exactly why I don't fuck with. But yeah, that definitely did not help the relationship in any way, shape, or form at all. So now that we're living together, you know how they say when you move in with somebody, you really start to see their true colors of it, or you really start to see how much you like this person. And y'all, it was not given. Like, I just was so disgusted with the whole situation. And so me and him, I actually ended up breaking up with him while we were still living together. Now you see why I was nervous about this. So while we were living together, I ended up breaking up with him. So we were not in a relationship. I don't know if he thought we were still in a relationship or what, but we were not in a relationship. But it was really a long time coming. Like the whole time that we weren't living together, I was kind of already done with the whole relationship. So that was a couple of months. And I tried to express this to him, but it was kind of like he wasn't allowing me to break up with him, or he wasn't accepting the fact that I was breaking up with him. And it started to me becoming like he was very controlling, and silly me, I still moved in with him. So all of that happened. On top of that, I met somebody else. So I met my current boyfriend at my job, and before it was like, you know, me and him, it was no feelings, we were friends. My manager was like, oh, you know, she could kind of see that something was developing, but I didn't think so, neither did he. We were just really good friends. Like, you know, when you talk to somebody and it feels like you've known them for a very long time and stuff. So me and him were like best friends, and this is exactly why I don't trust that best friend stuff. We would hang out and stuff like that, and we never really thought anything of it, and then one day, boom, feelings were just there. So I had told my ex all of this. He knew that I had developed feelings for this other guy, and he kind of still didn't want to accept the fact that I didn't want to be with him anymore. We were no longer in a relationship. So it started getting very, very toxic. So I was stuck in this situation where I had this guy that I had developed pretty intense feelings for, and then I had this guy who still had intense feelings for me. I was stuck living with him. You know, we were on a lease. It wasn't a full lease because it was a room, I guess, but it was like a 3-month lease. I still didn't have any money or anything really saved up. My credit was still bad. I was stuck in a situation. So, you know, my mental health started to deteriorate. I was not talking to my family. I was embarrassed of the situation that I was in. So I kind of pretty much cut everybody off. And I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's like every time I'm getting closer to that, it's just another obstacle. I was depressed. I was in terrible mental state. My self-esteem was very low. I was constantly crying. I was just ready to give up. I was ready to just pack my bags and go back and just say, you know what, I just can't take this anymore. I was in this toxic situation with this guy. He was calling my parents and telling them that, oh, I broke up with him and for somebody else. It was just a whole lot. He threatened to commit suicide multiple times if I didn't stay with him. He threatened to throw all my clothes and stuff away. It was just a lot. So about January of the next year, so that was January of when was it? No, it wasn't even that early. August of 2018. Something happened, and I was still living in this apartment with this guy basically. And I can't remember if he left his key or his card or something, but he wanted me to just like drop what I was doing, go and rush to find him and give him his key or whatever it was that he needed. And I basically told him no. So y'all wanna know what this man did? This mother went to Western Union. He saved my debit card information, which I did not know that he had. He went to Western Union and he used my debit card to transfer all of the money out of my account to himself. So he overdrafted my account by like $200, y'all. So the emotions that I had, y'all, I was just, at that point, I was just ready to go to jail. So I was hysterical. I didn't know what to do. My current boyfriend told me to go get my stuff from there. He was gonna bring me to his house and he was gonna explain to his parents, like, you know, what was going on and you know, ask could I stay with them. Back to the apartment. I'm packing up my stuff. I'm packing up my shit, and of course now he walks in. I was like, oh my God, can this day get any worse? This man held me hostage in the room, told me I couldn't leave with the clothes that he bought because that's his clothes, and that basically he wasn't trying to let me leave. So I ended up having to call the police. They had to come up and explain to him, like, this is her clothes now. It's a gift. You bought the clothes and gave it to her, and you can't stop her from leaving. Mind you, he just didn't want me to leave. It wasn't about the clothes. He tried to tell me that I couldn't take any of the clothes, which he did not buy all of my clothes for me, and I was not leaving without my stuff. Like, are you dumb? So the cops had to explain to him, like, you need to let her leave with her clothes. Whatever she wants to pack that belongs to her, she can take with her. So, and y'all, the cops was rude. They was rude. Like, the lady cop was acting like she didn't want to be bothered. She was rushing me. Like, how are you rushing me to pack up a whole room of clothes? Like, it was just so much, y'all. I was just so freaking done. And mind you, she was a black lady cop, so I would think that maybe I would get a little bit of sympathy from her, but she was just so freaking rude. And the guy that was with her had more sympathy. I'm like, this is why she pissed me off. So I pack up my stuff, I take it downstairs. I had to write up a report and all that stuff, which I did with the other cop, because I didn't even want to talk to that lady because she was just being in for no reason. All of that happened. Now I end up going to my boyfriend's house with him. He's explaining to his parents that his dad was like, you know, she could stay for a night, which ended up not being a night. Everything just, y'all, I ended up being there until I got this place that I'm in now. You might think, okay, that's the end of the story, it worked out. No, y'all, I moved in there in August. I got pregnant in September. So I got pregnant in September, and now I'm like, you know what? Now it's not just me, it's a child that I have to think about. So the best option for me is to freaking just go home, regroup, and just try to make it work back in Atlanta, because now I can't have a baby bouncing around with me trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. That's not fair to the child, that's not fair, you know. So right when me and my boyfriend decided like we were just gonna go and move back to Atlanta, we ended up getting approved for the place that I'm in now. I was like, you know what, this is a sign that I shouldn't be leaving, because it's no way that I was supposed to move away and then out of the blue an apartment just like, oh, here you go, by the way. You know, so I was very, very happy about that. I felt like that was a sign for me to stay and to try to work out whatever I could. So I was very lucky because I ended up with someone who I feel like he's my soulmate. I love him. I love his family. We've been together for 5 years now, and like it still feels like we just met. So I do feel like you find love at unexpected times. Sometimes it's not the most convenient time, but it definitely is most of the time an unexpected time. So it was not in the best situation, I will admit that, to be getting into a relationship, but thank God everything worked out. I love his family. They help me a lot with Rye. You know, I feel like I'm a part of their family. His mom is like a mom to me. Like, she treats me like I'm one of her own, so I love that. Rye's over there every weekend, and I'm still able to do the things that I want to do while being a mother. So I feel like everything just worked itself out, everything balanced out. Me and him met for a reason, because not only were we supposed to be together, but I feel like without his help and his family's help, I definitely would not be in the situation I'm in today. I would have been back in Atlanta doing who knows what, or maybe I would have tried to come up here again, but you know, it just would not have worked out the way that it did. Also started, once I got in a relationship with him and I finally got out of that toxic situation with my ex, I do feel like everything started to just instantly get better. So I do feel like the people that you are with and the people that you surround yourself can block blessings for you, because I definitely am glad that I did not end up getting approved for an actual apartment on a real lease with my ex, because then I would have been just stuck in a terrible, terrible, terrible situation. So mistakes that I made, I can definitely tell you that it is not the safest or most ideal thing for someone my age to do what I did. So especially without me researching, preparing myself, I just jumped up on a whim and was like, hey, I'm moving to New York. My delusional ass thought everything was going to be working the way that it should. I thought it was going to be easy. I'm like, y'all, I'm about to move in here and get me a luxury apartment. Little did I know. Little did I freaking know. So I definitely recommend to anyone looking to follow their dreams. It might not be the same dream that I had. You might not be wanting to do the same thing that I did. Even if it's just moving to your own apartment in the same town. You don't have to be wanting to move to a completely new city, especially a city as expensive as New York, for you to learn from this story, because I was young, I was dumb, and I've definitely learned from my mistakes. I do feel like everybody should try to research and have a game plan before they just up and move, and not be delusional like me and think everything is going to work out, even though it did in the long run. But I did go through a lot, and it could have ended up very, very badly in a lot of different ways, and I realized that. So I do want you guys to just always try to take the safest option and to just really think about what you're doing, plan everything. Don't just jump in. Sometimes you do have to take a leap of faith to push yourself to do things that you want to do that you may not normally do. And I did take a huge, huge, huge leap of faith. But You can take a leap of faith and still be safe and have a plan. Like, I believe that taking risks in life is the way that I got almost everything that I've wanted. It's a saying, hold on, let me pull it up. It says, living with fear stops us from taking risks. And if you don't go out on the branch, you're never going to get the best fruit. You know, I took a leap of faith and I did reap the benefits of that. It did take a few extra turns and steps, but like I said, nothing ever is really planned. You just have to have faith, be patient, and all of that, and that's pretty much what I did. I know a lot of you are probably also like, girl, you should just packed up your stuff and went home. That was dumb of you to still sign up. A lot of my decisions were dumb. I was young and I was dumb, like I said. I made a lot of mistakes, and I feel like the only way to fully mature is to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes, which I feel like I definitely did. It's nothing I can do to change the past. Like I said, I'm just lucky that it ended up the way that it did. There's a lot of steps that I could have taken to prevent a lot of stuff, and a lot of steps that I could have taken to make the, you know, the move and the transition a lot smoother. Like, I could have waited, I could have did whatever, but it happened the way it happened, and honestly, I would not change anything about what happened. As much as I hated a lot of the parts of my life at that point, as much as I hated a lot of the situations that I was put in, and as much as I hated a lot of the struggles that I went through, I wouldn't change it. It was just so many things that this process taught me. The mistakes that we make in life do add a lot to our character development, which I definitely matured a lot through this process, and I developed a lot of character that I probably would not have developed if I had done it a different way. If all these things didn't happen the way that they happened, I probably wouldn't have met my boyfriend. I would not have my beautiful daughter. I would not have a loving family that I met through him, and my own loving family back home. And I feel like the hard times that we go through, the struggles that we go through, really help us to appreciate the things that we have a lot more. Because just thinking about how 4 or 5 years ago I was somewhere depressed, crying, dreaming of where I am right now, and now I'm here. So I'm just so grateful for everything that I went through and how it taught me to be appreciative, to be humble, and have gratitude for even small victories and stuff like that. Because I was even grateful just to get that room, because to me that was a step in the right direction. Even though it wasn't the most ideal situation, it wasn't the most ideal person for that to happen with, I was just grateful because, like I said, we were not getting anything. So I did learn how also to be more positive and to try to think of the positives of everything. No matter what situation that I'm in, I now have the ability to remain positive through pretty much, because I've already been there. And you know, sometimes when you feel like you're at the lowest of the low, you can't go anywhere else but up. You're already at rock bottom. I do want y'all to also know when to quit, because sometimes things just aren't always going to go the way that you want them to, and you have to learn when to go back and regroup. Every time I was about to finally just give up, throw in a towel, something happened that caused me to stay. I feel like when something is meant for you, there's going to be signs that you should continue. Even though the situation itself could be bad, there could be good things that happen in it that can be that little bit of motivation for you to keep going. And I feel like that was what happened for me. Every time I was ready to just throw in the towel and give up, something happened where I was like, well, now, you know, I might as well just keep trying, because it just kept getting a little bit better and better. But it's just so many obstacles and so many things happened that, y'all, I was in a very, very bad place in my life, for real. Like, I just, sometimes looking back, even certain songs and certain things that I hear, or restaurants that I go to or something, can sometimes just remind me of that, because it was something that I might have did at that time or listened to at that time. And it's such like a good experience, but a painful memory. And I try not to dwell on that. I try to appreciate the bad times as well, because the bad times lead to brighter days, and the bad times make you more grateful for the good things that you have now. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this story time. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I plan on doing another Q&A, so you don't want to miss out on that. Make sure you're subscribed for future content, and I will see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. Bye.